Concubine's Counterattack, Palace Fighting Wind and Clouds. Chapter 1 Rebirth of Concubine Day, Rising Again. Song Li crossed over to become a concubine in the Empire, a noble but ill-fated character. In the original plot, Concubine was calculated by Concubine Tong and lost the Emperor's favor, and even the children were in danger. Song Li clearly knew that there was a dangerous road in front of her. There was Concubine Tong who was eyeing her in front of her, trying in vain to take away her son. Later, many palace concubines competed for favor, all of them were ruthless, and she was not allowed to relax every second. She faces a choice between continuing to lie flat and letting others doom, or rising up to change the fate of herself and her children. The decision has been made. She wants to fight, starting with guarding her son, and refusing to be the next pawn to be trampled on. Chapter 2 The Struggle in the Palace. The spring in the palace can't hide the haze of strife. Seeing that Song Li had regained his momentum, Concubine Tong secretly gathered her confidants to plot sabotage in an attempt to seize power from behind. Song Li remained silent. She secretly recruited several powerful palace mates and loyal ministers in the palace to grasp information and plant spies. She also began to learn how to grasp the psychology of the emperor in the court, and use power games to get herself back to the top. Chapter 3 The Emperor's Love, The Struggle for the Child. Concubine Tong was not only jealous of Song Li's favor, but also wanted to take Song Li's son for her own use, so as to consolidate her position. This struggle is not only a contest for power, but also a life and death battle between mother's love and family. Song Li used the memories of her rebirth era to lay out in advance, protect her son's safety, find allies, secretly befriend foreign officials, and stop Concubine Tong's conspiracy. Chapter 4 The Turmoil of Competition for Favor, The Conspiracy of the Palace Concubine. In addition to Concubine Tong, the other concubines were also shaken by the emperor's favor and began to design their own designs to frame Song Li. They did not hesitate to use poisonous tricks, fake letters, and even woo eunuchs and palace maids, wanting to discredit Song Li. In the face of layers of encirclement and suppression, Song Li chose to deal with them wisely and dismantled them one by one. Her calmness and cunning make her a force to be reckoned with in the palace. Chapter 5 Reverse your fate and become a real concubine. After many life and death crises, Song Li gradually gained the true trust and respect of the emperor. She is no longer a passive pawn, but a central figure who can influence the direction of the court. Her son grew up healthy under her guardianship and became the hope of the future empire. Gongdo is no longer a simple competition for favor, but a wrestling of power and wisdom. Chapter 6 Storms Rise Again, The Future of the Dynasty. Song Li knew that this was just the beginning. A bigger storm was yet to come, but she was no longer afraid. She will bring her family and allies to meet any challenges and rewrite her own legend. This concubine will eventually become the most dazzling legendary woman in the history of the empire. Chapter 7 The crisis is reversed, and the token is the evidence. Just as Song Li was steadily controlling the situation in the harem, a secret letter from the palace maid of Nanyuan broke the temporary calm. The letter mentioned that Concubine Tong had conspired with the Queen Mother to use a birthmark token given by the emperor in the old years to frame Song Li's child as a tanuki for the prince. This is a well-planned trick. Once the token is made public, even if the emperor believes in her again, it will be difficult to defeat the ironclad evidence. Song Li frowned slightly, but she was not flustered. She turned out the memories of her previous life, and vaguely remembered that this thing was actually left by a disgraced palace concubine in her early years, and it had nothing to do with her for a long time. She immediately secretly summoned Imperial Physician Chen to clarify the old matter with the old palace maid of Changzhen Palace. In a delicate confrontation in front of the emperor, Mama revealed the truth of the old case in public. Concubine Tong's face changed greatly, and she was angrily reprimanded by the emperor for disturbing the harem. This reversal allowed Song Li to completely gain a firm foothold and become the real pivotal figure of the new generation of the harem. Chapter 8 the eastern palace is in turmoil, the position of the crown prince emerges. Outside the palace, the situation is unpredictable. As the emperor grew older, the matter of establishing a prince had become the focus of secret competition among various forces. Song Li's son Ruqian is only 5 years old. He is extremely intelligent and is quite favored by the emperor. The Grand Tutor Zhu Boiwan even said bluntly, if he is trained properly, the little prince will be a national treasure. When these words came out, it was tantamount to pushing Song Li and Ruqian to the forefront. The mothers of several princes who are expected to become princes in the court are not idle people, and even one of them, He Cheng, the son of Concubine Jing, has begun to secretly win over courtiers and squeeze out Song Li's cronies. Song Li was not in a hurry to promote her son as the crown prince. Instead, she pretended to retreat and focused her attention on supporting a few people loyal to her to enter the cabinet and the East Factory as a long-term preparation. At the same time, she secretly ordered her personal guard Song Yu to sneak into the Jingfei Palace, found out that He Cheng had illegal activities with the border military businessmen, and prepared to stand by. Chapter 9 The old feelings reappear, and the heart is not shaken. One day, Song Li unexpectedly met Gu Linghe, an old acquaintance from his early youth and the current household servant, in the imperial garden. Gu Linghe was surprised that Song Li was no longer the little girl who was the emperor and wanted to ascend the throne all day long, but now she is a strategic, calm, and decisive concubine. The two didn't talk much, but they had emotional waves. Song Li knew that this old relationship could not be shaken in the slightest, otherwise her years of layout would be ruined. But in the wind that night, she sat alone in front of the window, but she couldn't help but think of the picture of Gu Linghe blocking arrows for her during the war. She wrote an anonymous letter with a pen, and handed it to the little eunuch to send, every word of which was a tribute to her past youth, and then she burned a copy of the letter, and her heart was once again as hard as iron. Chapter 10 The Battle for the Title of Consort, the Battle of 9 Concubines. As Concubine Tong had lost power, the emperor decided to re-enthrone the position of concubine in the inner palace. Whether Concubine Da was promoted to the crown concubine has become the focus of everyone's attention. The 9 concubines united to speak to the Queen Mother, saying that Concubine Da had always been jealous and unsuitable to be in charge of the harem, and tried to stop Jin Feng. The Queen Mother was gentle on her face, but secretly favored the camp of the concubine and had an ambiguous attitude. Song Li knew that if she wanted to succeed in sealing the concubine, she could not only rely on the emperor's will, but also need to win the support of the ministers. In the name of her son, she hosted a banquet to entertain the upright officials in the court, and donated thousands of acres of private land to disaster relief, which led the people to praise the virtuous concubine's benevolence. Finally, under the excitement of the people, the emperor personally conferred the title of noble consort on Song Li in Fenji Hall, with the same rank as consort Tong. The harem was shaken again, and the 9 concubines retreated, and even the Empress Dowager had no say. Chapter 11 Letter from the Night, Death Comes. Just when Song Li thought she was invincible, an anonymous letter was quietly delivered to her desk. There was only one sentence on the letter. Do you think that if you change the plot, you can change your fate? The handwriting is strange and unsigned, but the penmanship is very similar to her own handwriting as she sees it in modern times. Song Li was shocked. Is this a coincidence, or does someone know that she is from another world? That night, she clutched the letter tightly, and for the first time her heart wavered. What if she wasn't the only one who crossed over? So are the rules of this game still in her hands? Chapter 12 Hidden Dangers and Truths, Behind the Scenes. She began to investigate the origin of the letter, and the clue actually pointed to the 7th prince born to concubine Yuan, Yin. Yin seems to be young and harmless, but his demeanor is sophisticated, and his eyes occasionally have a strange light, which is far from the pure truth that should be at this age. Once, she deliberately played against him, and the words were tentative. If you were asked to change your fate, what would you choose to do? Yin smiled lightly. People who change their fate never ask what their fate is. This sentence made Song Li's heart chill. She finally understands that she is not the only chess player who has crossed over, and that there is a fateful duel between 2 worlds going on in the palace.